Welcome back to Cards and Comics. Today I'm going to have my first comic book mail day in a long time. Now, I think I did a last one when I went to Earthworld or one of the local comic book stores in Albany. And this has sort of been probably 2 or 3 months worth of comic books. And as a reminder, I collect a lot of variants and I'm a Spider-Man collector. But I have started a new collection of a character, Zatanna, and I'll show off some of those books I've gotten of her. Looking for her first appearances, like in Hawkman 3 or 4, and I hope to find it soon, just to have it. You know, those cool Silver Age appearances, first appearances are getting harder to find. So first up is Age Spider-Verse #1, the variant edition. It's Messafera. So this is the trade variant. And then the next one is the Virgin variant. And so, and they're going between, the trade is about 15 and the Virgin's going for about 30. That's a very common price differential between these multi type covers, where you got the Virgin, the foil, the regular trade. I said in a video earlier that, I don't like variants that have multiple versions of the cover because it dilutes the cover. So if the cover art becomes iconic, then you'll have 4 versions to choose from, which, splits dollars out of all the books. But sometimes, when there's books like this, what I just think look cooler in the Virgin version, and you can get a deal on 2 or 3 at the same time. I sometimes do that. So I sometimes don't practice what I preach. Because that, for example, it was easier just to buy that book as a pair or a combo versus just finding it by itself. Here's another good one. This is Amazing Spider-Man #1. This is the Artgerm variant. And it is 1 in 200. And this one's going about $100 raw. Graded, it's over 200, I believe. It's a really nice book. And then I think he's done these as singles as well. So where you can get the full Mary Jane or the full Black Cat. Very, very cool cover. And again, as a Spider-Man collector, it's fun to see those two on the cover. The series itself I thought was a lot of fun too. The Black Cat and Mary Jane series. Now this is Spider-Gwen. This is the Rico with a 0, I believe, Virgin variant. And I just think it's a cool cover. You can kind of turn it sideways so you can see how it's supposed to look. Just, one of those really cool, actually it's supposed to be like this. There we go. Just a really cool cover. I think they've done a good job on Spider-Gwen variants, and they've really done a good job to make the Ghost Spider character more relevant, but still waiting for the epic Ghost Spider story. Next up is Age of Spider-Verse #4. This is the first appearance of I think, was it Spintress? And again, Age of Spider-Verse has been good about introducing new characters. So you get the first I think this is a disabled Spider-Man. Then you get Spintress here. So they introduce a lot of new characters. Some stick, some don't. I like this cover because it has Spider-Ham on it. And of course, there's the cover with Spintress. And this is kind of the design variant. And the design variant and the cover A, which is the first cover I showed you, don't go for much more than $10 each. Again, new character, so there's a little bit of speculation on these books because of that. Next up is this is Shannon Meer. This is, you can see the right here. This is a certificate authentic. I don't know. I can't talk today. By the Comic Mint, 1 of 600 by Shannon Meer, and it's the Virgin version. It's number 115, and so I think, I like the artwork. So who cares if it's this crazy limited edition type stuff? But we're seeing this more and more often. the COA books, I call them. And I'm not sure that 20 years from now people will care too much. I don't know. Honestly, the book itself should be serial numbered if you're going to do this, because these COAs are going to get lost. And who's going to look up every single one of these books to see, you know, this is out of 600, that was out of 400. If they're going to do this, they need to serial number the books. That would take away all of this, you know, guesswork or people trying to figure out, you know, what these books are. Just serial number the books. I know it takes more technology to do that, but it would make everyone in the future feel like these had a little bit more chance of some value. This is a $60 book as it is. And it's a great artwork. So, I mean, to me, it's good art, and I think it's going to be something that, you know, the black cat collectors will really, you know, really dig, and they already are. But if it's serial numbered, it'd be something that I think maybe even future collectors might look back and say, hey, that's a rare book. It's, you know, numbered. Now, so going into the vintage Spider-Man, I do have some CGC books I'll show in a minute. Here is Spider-Man number 97. So Goblin cover, which is always great. This has got some great color. Look at that Spider-Man there. I'll just show you the spine. Again, a little nick here. Some little nicks there. But overall, this is a very nice copy. The guy said, you know, this was a really nice copy. It is a really nice copy. Right now, this book's going for about, I'd say about $150 in this kind of condition. So it's a book that definitely should get graded. You know, it's just a really nice copy. And, you know, I'm putting together the first, you know, 300 so issues of Spider-Man. So, goes into the collection. Spider-Man 119. I like this cover because it's just him versus the Hulk. And again, it's a very nice copy. I'm looking through it right now. There's no creases. Even on the spine. I mean, again, I'll show you the spine. It's not bad at all. So again, two very nice, you know, copies of Spider-Man 97 to 119. And, you know, this is a great cover. And, you know, these books are starting to gain value because, you know, obviously the really early Spider-Man stuff has gotten out of reach. So you can't really get some of those books cheaper. So people are going to say cool covers from Spider-Man featuring iconic villains or other superheroes as value Spider-Man plays versus the key first appearances or the really early books. Spider-Man 210. This is the first Madam Web. You know, got some heat after the Scarlet Witch series. Kind of cooled off and it's kind of back up a little bit. So this is one that a lot of spec players were pushing hard. I just need it for my Spider-Man set. I didn't actually have this book, which is, you know, just how it goes. You know, you buy a bunch of Spider-Man books throughout, you know, your years and you miss a few. Didn't have this one. I got it at what I think it was a good price. And again, this is a very nice copy. I mean, it's obviously not that old compared to some other books, but you can see it almost looks like it's already been pressed. If I was just going to guess, like, you know, maybe they were going to grade it at some point and then they decided not to, or maybe the value went down, so they just sold it raw. Don't know, but last but not least is Spectacular Spider-Man number 99. This book is probably like a $10 or $15 book. But it's one of the cooler covers, and it's got the Spot. And I think it's Spot's first cover. It's not his first appearance, but it's just a cool, you know, cover of him doing, you know, Spot stuff. So, you know, there's this idea that this is going to be a major villain at some point in the Spider-Man universe. So again, you know, I think cool covers of Spot will be popular, if that does happen. So it's just like a you know, cheap, but it's a cool Spider-Man cover anyway, so I'm glad I have it now. Next up is my DC books. I'll try not to shake everything when I hit the table. So first up is my Zatanna collection. Now, first up is DC Nation Zero. So this is an interesting variant. I didn't look it up too much, but, you know, it says it's a 1 in 500 Jimenez variant. I don't know if that's true or not. That's what, you know, a lot of auctions on eBay had said, so maybe it's true. It is hard to find. I could only find like one copy of this on the sold auctions. Now, it was a, you know, a 25-cent kind of, it wasn't a giveaway, but it was definitely one of those, like, you know, try our new, books type of thing. There's Zatanna, and so that's why I got the book to begin with. But it was kind of cool. Maybe it is kind of rare. Now going back in history, here's some cool detective comics. And again, there were some really nice stories with Batman and Zatanna. And there's even like some lore around them being a couple at some point. So I like the black and white covers here. I believe that this is maybe Finch doing these. Because he did some cool Wonder Woman covers. But, here's Batman Detective, from 833. And then here is 844. And again, really nice ink work here. And these are just basic covers. So, these are just a couple bucks. But, as a Zatanna collector, they're just cool books. And it's cool to get books that you can only spend a couple dollars on. Next up is Batman versus Robin #1. This is a variant covered by, what does it say here? Oh, Josh Middleton. I don't know why it took me a while to read that. This is a card stock variant. So these are, I don't know, like 1 in 4 or something like that. They're not hard to get, but it's a really cool cover. I like the use of color. Zatanna, just like we saw, is on a lot of black and white type covers, where they don't have a lot of other color mixed in. And so I like the purple mixed in with her black. And again, it's cover B, but it's not worth a ton. It's just a cool cover, and I like kind of she's in this trance, and again, very cool Zatanna cover, and it's again not breaking the bank. And then Justice League Dark 26. So this was the KL New variant. Take a drink here real quick. I'm trying to edit that out. Sorry. 1, 2, 3. Justice League Dark #26, KL New cover. Again, it's an interesting take on Zatanna up here. I think it's interesting, like, the hat side of it. Yeah, it makes sense that she would not always be wearing her hat. But I don't know if I like she looks like so many other characters in this, so I don't know. I'm not as big a fan of that cover. Again, it's like a $10 variant cover, not much over cover price. So again, there's some cool Zatanna books I picked up just because, they were there and they were cheap. And so just starting my Zatanna collection. Now I do have a lot of the Adam Hughes Zatanna books. And those are some of my favorite books. And so, but they're getting very pricey, especially the first and last issue. So, and she doesn't obviously have a ton of books. So, which is good. So it's not as hard to find, or you don't get inundated with covers every week. I'll put it that way. Poison Ivy, #1. Again, this is a Kunkka Lim variant. And it's about $20 shipped if you try to get this book. And the one thing I like about it is it kind of shows her with some like plants growing out of her head, or just kind of like this more otherworldly looking version of Ivy. I think we're used to her being kind of like a human versus more plant-like. So I think this is a cool cover. Still has the appeal that you'd want. Like, it doesn't show her like as Florionic Man or Swamp Thing. So it doesn't go too far, but it definitely is more alien looking, which I really like it. So it's a cool take on the character. Next up is a book that got hot for a long time. I think it's still pretty hot because I believe this is from one of the Final Fantasy artists and creators, maybe artists. And so he's done, I think, another comic book before this, but Detective 1063, the Yoshitaka Amano 1 in 25 variant. And this was going even higher than 40. And in fact, some sales recently were higher than 40. Some were a little under. But again, very cool take on this character. I feel like these kind of covers to me are going to be what people, I think 20, 30 years from now are going to go back and look on and say, those were the coolest covers because they just didn't look like anything else. Just like when I look at the Mobius covers for Marvel, I think those are going to, just be really cool covers that people are going to collect. I think the Milo Manera covers will be the same way. They're different. They, not, even though you can say they're really cheesecake, it's just like they're very striking and unique. I think something like this is going to get people's attention in 10 or 20 years. Like, this was a really cool book. And so I feel like it's just put one or two away, and maybe it'll be a cool book in the future, but it's definitely something I want to have kind of in the old collection. Now, this is Batman 125 pink foil from John Zhang, and this was sold, I think, in a 3-pack, and I got 2 of the 3. So I got the pink, then I don't have the regular foil. This is just the regular version. 35. I think this is like 10 or 15. So yeah, typical pricing for these kind of books. I like the art. Again, very unique take on the character. It's a very spiky, Spawn-like, take on this character. So, again, I'm going to hopefully set up at the Saratoga. Sorry for hitting the camera. Saratoga Comic-Con again in November. I've set up there a few years. So I'm hoping to set up there. So some of these books are just to get some volume. I do very well with variants at comic shows because not a lot of people carry I call it the cool ones, or people carry like the ones that just came out. Very few people carry the really cool ones from last year, this year, that were like a couple months old. It's like they sell through them and they never bring them. And then you go to shows and people are like, oh, I didn't get the Rose Besh Wonder Woman when it came out, and price has gone down a little bit. So I try to pick these up at good prices, and it does draw a lot of attention to my table by having these on the display, because people, a lot of these covers look really nice, and so it's been my strategy for a while, and it's worked pretty well. Again, this is the Rose Besh, Wonder Woman 100-page super spectacular. I don't have the black and gold Besh cover that is amazing. That's still worth a lot of money. I never picked that one up, and so it's still on the list, but this is a really cool book. It's like $35-40, so not as cool as the other one, but definitely. All right, last but certainly not least is Action Comics 894. So this is the first, what they consider this to be like the first in canon appearance of Death. Again, there's an actual variant of this cover that's not near as good. It shows her really tiny, like she's like a tiny little figure on the cover. So in terms of this book, I picked up one last year at Saratoga Comic-Con in a dollar bin. So I bought this comic book. I think this is my 4th copy. It's obviously one of my favorite because I'm a big, huge fan of Death. She's right here. So, this book is, in my opinion, probably the second best cover of Death ever made. Some of the ones that, to me, the only one that I think is better is the 1 in 100 Jenny Frizzan from the recent Sandman Corinthian series. But look on eBay right now. There's only one raw copy of that book available right now for $500, and you can get maybe a 9.8 for around the same price. So that book has gone to $500, and it's worth it. I mean, to me, because there's no other better cover, and it's just it's like the perfect Death cover. It's going to be like the cover everyone's going to be like, okay, that's just the best cover ever of Death. She just nailed it. And this is number 2. And then, to me, like, the first appearance is just the first appearance. It's a good cover, but it's the first appearance. It's always going to have that value associated with it. So there's other covers of Death I like a lot. There's the Adam Hughes, like, magazine cover that's out there. Again, never made it onto a cover of a comic book, but it was on some magazine covers. And so that's a really cool cover if you get a chance to check that out. So this is, just one of my favorite books. And so I pick it up whenever I can. And again, I have the variant of this as well. So I don't like it as well, but I have both this and the variant. So there you go. And we're going to move back into some Marvel comics. Put these comic books back in the box. All right, back into Marvel here we go. Now, there is a really amazing Marvel book at the end of this that is, to me, very rare, and hopefully you guys like it. Here we go. First up is Deadpool #3, the Granov variant. So this is Scarlet Witch and Vision, and I think this is a great striking image, and again, perfect to me characterization of these two characters in classic costume. So very, very nice. Next up is Elektra. I believe this is Jen Bartel. Yep, Jen Bartel, 1 in 25. And again, I'm a big fan of Jen Bartel, Jenny Frizzan, Shannon Mayer. I like a lot of their covers, so I just picked this up because it was Bartel, and I think I picked it up when it first came out from the manufacturer. I think I pre-ordered this, so it's going for about $30, which is, again, around all 1 in 25s with good artists go for about that cover price, so about that price. Next up, now this is Treadmore, and this is the 1 in 25. And it's gone for about $20 to $25. But this is one of the ones I really liked when it first came out, because I just think it's just such a cool take on the Hulk, with all the body, dysphoria, all the, just colors. And it's just really, really cool cover. And he nailed it. And I don't care that this cover has gone down in price a little bit since it first came out. I think it's one of the better Hulk covers that's been out in a long time. Peach Momoko, New Mutants 24. It's just, it's a $4 or $5 book, but it's, a Native American themed book, and I have a Native American collection, so I always grab this book when I can. It's like a $5 book. It's not much. Just like this Iron Man 22 variant. I just like the blackout suit of armor, and it's the Lozana variant, and it's not worth the whole bunch, $5 or $10. But, it's kind of striking, and if you're an Iron Man fan, that's a cool book to pick up for really cheap. Next up is some Wolverine books. Again, another set of books. So this is the Scott Williams variant. So you've got the basic variant, which is trade variant. Then you got the Virgin variant. Again, this is how books are being sold today. And again, the Virgin variant's about a $30 book. Again, like we talked about before. And you got the black and white variant, and this is going for about $50. So there's not a lot of these for sale individually. Everyone's selling these as sets. So, we'll see. I like having a lot of Wolverine books because when I go to comic book shows, I have a lot of Wolverine collectors, and these are not that common in the wild. A lot of these were pre-ordered and went straight into collections. So, again, when I sit these out at the show, I'll be probably one of the few people that have them. This is one I picked up 2 copies of. It's the Nullified Wolverine #8. And this is from Raposa. This is what the Marvel Spider-Man metal card artwork was based on. This Nullified Wolverine. So it's got a lot of people who collect the card. So I'm hoping that when I go to the show, that I'll have some folks wanting to pair their Wolverine card up with the Wolverine comic book cover, and I got 2 copies just because they were sold as a pair. And again, kind of a convention book for me. Now here's the book that I'm really excited about: X-Force 20, Uncanny X-Force 20. So this is the Venomized variant. So this is the original OG Venomized variant, just like with the Amazing Spider-Man with the Mary Jane Venomized cover. It's from that same series. So I forget how many there is total in the series. But just like the hip hop variants, which go across multiple, Marvel series, they did the Venomized covers as well across multiple series. So this is the X-Force. Obviously with Psylocke, it's just a really cool looking cover. And so I'm super stoked to finally get this version. And I've thought about getting all of them because I do have the Spider-Man Mary Jane Venom book. I've had it multiple times. I'm fine keeping the copy I do have. I'm not going to sell it. And so I thought about just slowly picking up all of the Venomized covers. This one is very nice. So again, I don't see a whole lot wrong with it. I'm probably going to get it graded at some point. Even if it's a 9.6, it's worth having graded. It's a tough book. Literally one's been sold all year that I can find. Now, last but not least is my graded books. And so they're always going to be a little harder to display, but I'll put them on here. First up is 8 Billion Genies. This is the Genie frizzan variant. Not so just so people understand, who maybe not comic book guys, but this series got a ton of positive reviews. Like, it's already being pitched as a series. I think it's already being as a movie, TV series. Basically, 8 billion genies show up in the world and grant everyone a wish. I forget, it's 1 or 3 wishes. I can't remember now. But then, there's a bar that the owner goes like, well, my wish is that no one else's wishes can affect this bar. So this is like and so there's this one place in the world where, where wishes don't really affect. And so it's just like kind of how crazy the world's going to get if everyone can wish for things they want. So that's kind of the premise of the book. Again, this isn't like I don't know if you call this, a first print, whatever it is, but it's the variant B cover. So, it's just a cool cover. It's a cool story. It's got a lot of pub, and I think a lot of people like her art. So I just figured it was a good combination. And I threw it into the old collection. Actually, this just came in a week or 2 ago. I've had this book for a little while. I haven't shown off yet. Spider-Man number 53, 8.5. 2 things I like. I like the Spider-Man art on the flip. It's an 8.5, so, with white pages. That's another thing I really liked. It was a white page book. So I've been paying attention to page quality a lot more when I look at these books. Like, if I'm looking to buy a book, then I will definitely scan the auctions or the listings to see what best page quality I can get. That might be a thing that really distinguishes books in the future, just like we're looking at if it was for the 80s books, if it was newsstand or not. Page quality on these Silver Age books could be a huge factor in the future, and it's sort of doing it today, but not as much as it could be in the future in terms of value. Again, just a nice copy of this book. Just the back, you can see not a lot of toning. So I think an A5 is, again, a lot of people go, well, that's from 67. I think A5s for this time period are becoming great value. And again, a white page, so I was excited. And next book is an 8.5, Spider-Man, Giant Spider-Man, number 4. And it says first appearance of Moses Magnum, third appearance of the Punisher. So again, Punisher on the cover. It's a huge book, and it's white pages as well. So again, great page content quality here, and it's a cool cover. You got Punisher here, Spider-Man, in a, trapped in a, barbed wire with some weird leg things going on here. But anyway, still a cool cover. I feel like these kind of books get lost a little bit in the shuffle as everyone looks at first appearances, but these kind of books are harder to find in good quality like this, and these are not super expensive, so I thought it was fun just to pick it up to put in the old Spider-Man collection. So that's it, guys. That is my Spider-Man comic book, Marvel, DC, just everything I've been getting the last couple months. Hope you liked it, and let me know in the comments which books you like the best, and I'll see you next time on Cards and Comics. Bye.